So how do you turn a $25,000, rear end collision or left turn into 100,000? Well, it's 25,000 for that minimum policy. Your wage claim with 2% per month interest, call that 30 to 40,000. That's 65,000. And then, your ADA claim, your wage claim, 20, 30, $40,000 on that. And that takes you to 100,000. One of the things I've encountered in my career, and you see this a lot, is you're driving a vehicle and you're rear-ended, or you're driving a vehicle and someone makes a left turn into your car. You're not at fault for the accident. You're in pain, your neck and back hurt. Not normally, that's a frequent effect of an accident. I've been involved in quite a few accidents myself, and well, that generally occurs. Uh, the other side that hit you only has a basic minimum policy, right? Of in New York, it's 25,000 over 50,000, which is 25,000 per person up to $50,000 maximum. In some states, the minimum is lower. Like in New Jersey, it's 15,000. Florida, it's 10,000. In fact, Florida, that's a blank story. You don't even need to have liability insurance, but if you have a certain type of driving record, you have a minimum of 10,000. But we're in New York, it's a $25,000 policy. You're injured, your neck and back hurts. You do what you're supposed to do. You go to the hospital or you go to an urgent care. You've received appropriate physical therapy, chiropractic treatment, acupuncture treatment. You're still not feeling better. You have the MRIs. They show a herniation at or about the third and fourth level of your cervical spine. That's your neck. Frequently injured in accidents. The fourth and fifth level of your lumbar spine show disc herniations. Again, frequent placement where you're going to find injury. Treatment didn't help. You went for a series of 3 epidural shots, right? You have some semblance of feeling better, but you still have pain. As a result of this accident, you either didn't go back to work, you're working less hours, or you took a pay cut. You went to a different, less stressful job, right? So, and that honestly is a frequent occurrence, very, very frequent occurrence, right? And so you go to a lawyer, go to your personal injury lawyer, you tell them these facts and you say, lawyer, sir, how can you help me? So obviously the lawyer will have helped you find places that will accept no fault. Because remember, New York's a no fault state. What is no fault? No fault is your own insurance policy, right? So we have two types of insurance. We have the guy that hits you, by that 25,000, we discussed that. Then have the no fault. The no fault is your own insurance coverage. You're likely going to have basic no fault, which is $50,000. That's $50,000 where your medical bills will be paid by your no fault, right? And there's wage loss of $2,000 a month. Odds are, with the minimum wage now as of January 2025 of $16 an hour, assuming you didn't go back to work, you're working less hours, you took a pay cut, your wages are going to be at or in excess of 2,000 a month. It's just a virtue of inflation. So all this happens, you tell your lawyer, how can you help me? Your lawyer, like I said, sends you appropriate treatment, which any personal injury lawyer should do. Uh, your lawyer then puts in, within no fault, makes an indication, because you have 90 days from the date of loss earnings to make a claim for lost earnings. Your attorney puts on a Form NF2, which is a statutory no fault form, and they indicate on Form NF2 that you have not returned to work. Or I had one case where the issue actually was they didn't return to work, but they had a job opportunity they couldn't take where they would have made more money, right? So in that instance, your lawyer will write a letter, the insurance company explaining what your wage loss is, right? Invariably, no fault being what it is, you'll go for a series of medical examinations, and no fault within 3 or 6 months likely will cut you off, saying you've reached pre-accident status. They might say nothing more. We can't do anything more for you, but likely many times 3, 6, 9 months, your benefits are going to be cut off. Now, with your benefits also means that wage loss we talked about, that measly $2,000, well, that's now not going to be paid for you. Uh, and let's just go one step further. Let's say you're out of work for 2 years. You work at a large job. They consistently have, you know, been in contact with you. And then they say, well, we're not going to take you back, right? Or we could even say that, you were working, but you worked at a different type of job. And, they now say, oh, well, we're not going to make any accommodations for you and fire you, right? A lot of like weird stuff happens. So in that instance, and you'd be surprised how frequent this happens, uh, there's three cases that are there. Maybe there's four cases because the employer that decided they didn't want to make accommodations for you and you had a disability. And don't forget, in New York, unlike the federal law, temporary disabilities are covered under the Discrimination Act, right? So you have four cases here. You have the personal injury case. You have your case against your own insurance company who decided after 3, 6, 9 months you're entitled to wages. You probably have a reasonable accommodation claim against your employer. Again, you'd have to look at more facts. You may or may not, but you may very well, right? And then even if you don't have that, you probably have a wage and hour claim because you weren't paid properly, you weren't paid timely, you weren't given proper notices, you weren't given time and a half. You, you'd be surprised how often these things happen. And so you have three cases. And so how do you turn a $25,000, rear end collision or left turn into 100,000? Well, it's 25,000 for that minimum policy. Your wage claim with 2% per month interest, call that 30 to 40,000. That's 65,000. And then, your ADA claim, your wage claim, 20, 30, $40,000 on that. And that takes you to 100,000. And that's what we do. Those are things that my law firm looks to do when we take in a case. We look at all the different angles to see how we can maximize your compensation.